It's a quiet neighborhood in Paulding County. But in mid-October of 2005, that calm was shattered. In the driveway of a modest home on Etowah Court, a husband and father, Regan Wheeler, found dead under circumstances that stunned this small community. In the days that followed, investigators searched for answers. Leads came and went, suspects questioned, theories tested, yet the truth never surfaced. Now, 20 years later, cold case detectives with the Paulding County Sheriff's Office returned to the scene, armed with new technology and a determination that has only sharpened. They're searching for what's eluded them for 2 decades. Who killed Regan Wheeler? Around 9 p.m., deputies were dispatched to 43 Etowah Court. Regan Wheeler had been shot multiple times in the driveway of his home.
Okay, on that day, our patrol deputies were summoned out to Etowah Court here in Dallas. Initially, the call came out as a vehicle had fallen on a man.
So dispatch had said that a vehicle had fallen on a man, and they had, alerted deputies and alerted fire and EMS.
A neighbor had made a telephone call for the Wheeler family. The wife and daughter had arrived home and they had found Regan in the driveway. He was unresponsive, and so they had immediately ran to the neighbors for help. That neighbor did, in fact, call 911, trying to get help out there. The initial thought was that Mr. Wheeler was under the vehicle and they may need heavy rescue to get this vehicle off of this person.
The house kind of sat on a little bit of a hill, not much, but like the driveway went up from the main road. And so as we start walking up the driveway, obviously with a traumatic injury type call, you're not on alert like this is a bad call or like a dangerous call. You're there basically to render aid and to assist the fire department. And so, we start walking up the driveway, and I can just remember seeing Regan laying there in the driveway, and John immediately said, "Those are shell casings."
When first responders arrived, they determined that this was, in fact, not a person pinned under a truck. This was, in fact, a person who was deceased from gunfire.
As the scene got secured and deputies and detectives were able to assess things a little bit better, we realized that he had been a victim of several gunshot wounds.
It went from something that we thought was just going to be, here we are assisting the fire department, to we've got a murder scene that we've got to secure, and then more importantly, we got to make sure nobody's in that house that's going to come out and hurt us or anyone else. And so I remember I went to the back of the home and kind of checked some outbuildings in the backyard, and when other deputies got there, they cleared the house. But it's one of those things that was very it was such a traumatic situation, because you really didn't expect what we came upon. We expected someone that was hurt by a car falling on them, not someone who had been shot.
I was contacted by the patrol supervisor at the time, and we then notified the Georgia Bureau of Investigations to assist us on the case. And then our resources started moving that way. We had detectives and crime scene personnel meet up there at the scene with the GBI.
I was contacted after the investigators got there. I was a task force agent, so I did not respond to the scene, but I can say that the first responders that did respond, they responded to the scene thinking that they were going to aid a person who
Try to
was
help save the
trapped.
guy, yeah.
Yes. And when they got there, they learned that this person had been killed by gunfire. At that point in time, homicide was a rare thing in Paulding County, and it did not occur often.
In a quiet neighborhood in Dallas, Georgia, the echoes of multiple gunshots still linger. And the Wheeler family, justice, after all these years, remains just out of reach.
My name is Matthew Lee Brooks. I'm Regan Wheeler's oldest son, oldest child, and it's been approximately 20 years since my father was killed. I remember receiving the phone call from my family, and I was actually at my previous home. My girlfriend at the time, my wife now, was there with me, and when I got the phone call, my family just told me to brace myself that my father was dead. And it was in the middle of the day, I believe it's when I got the phone call. I had was in shock, obviously, didn't know what to think, asked them how it happened, what happened, if we knew why. They didn't have any information at the time, so I knew that I was going to have to finish up my task at hand and then pack and take the several-hour drive from South Florida to come up here. I do remember that I was in the middle of cutting grass in my house, and probably because I was in such shock of the information I had just heard, I looked at my wife and I said, well, I've got to finish. I can't leave the job half-time. Yeah. So went outside, crying, and finished up the task, finished what I was doing, and came back inside and told her I was going to have to leave. Got cleaned up, packed the bags, got on the road, and headed up here. Took several hours to get here, and when I got here, I met with Paula, his wife, my sister Rachel, and spent the next few days meeting with law enforcement, trying to figure out what happened, getting the whole story as much as we knew at the time, and then seeing what we could do to try to help solve the crime.
So let's go back to that day and you driving from your home in Florida. Sep is 10, 12 hour drive, give or take?
Every bit of a 10-hour drive, thinking about it the entire way up.
What was kind of in your mind, what was playing, what was going through your head as you're driving up here by yourself, and the only information that you have is your father's dead?
A lot of regret. There was a point in time where we had a tumultuous relationship and didn't talk for a while. Just different paths that I took than he was on. But over the last few years prior to his death, we had gotten closer, started talking again, going to functions. He had met my girlfriend, now wife. The families had started interconnecting again, but it wasn't enough. I didn't return as many of his phone calls as I should. I didn't return as many of his emails as I should. So a lot of regret. Started thinking about that the whole way up. And there wasn't a thing I could do about it. So felt heartbroken for Paula, felt heartbroken for Rachel. Couldn't get here fast enough to try to interject myself and help. But that was the only time that I had to grieve, was when I was by myself. Because once I got here, I had to be strong for them.
And once you get here, you kind of get settled, you're making contact with all of your family members. What was, if you can remember, what was the initial thought? You're showing up as the big brother, to Rachel and to Paula? Kind of what was that interaction, or even the last one that you remember of, versus the last time you saw them, and then obviously this time you're seeing them, you all trying to piece together what the hell happened?
Yeah, so Rachel and I, there was a time where we weren't that close either. Immediately when I showed up, that connection improved. Because I needed to comfort her and she needed to comfort me. So it was me being in law enforcement as well. I was the person that everybody was asking questions to, because the investigation had just started. It was just kicking off. So the investigators were doing what they had to do, and my entire family, both sides, were coming to me asking me questions.
You're trying to agree, but you're also the subject matter expert.
Yeah, trying to answer as many questions as I could, trying to ride that fine line of respecting the investigation, but also providing the information to my family, just enough for them to have some type of understanding of what happened, that he was targeted and he was murdered.
Detectives chased every lead, but every path seemed to fade into a dead end.
We did have a series of drug traffickers who were supplying the county at that time with trafficking amounts of methamphetamine. And so we as task force agents, our role is to, through informants and intelligence, keep our ears to the streets so that we're aware of who's supplying. At the same time, most of these people who are suffering from addiction, they're going to be fueling their drug addiction habit by way of taking things that don't belong to them. That may mean entering houses to burglarize the house to take things of value, the occasional car stolen, things like that. So the Criminal Investigations Division and the GBI reached out to us that night to see if we had any intelligence in the area that may aid or benefit them in running down leads or canvassing the area in an effort to further this case.
This is one of those ones that's just really never, we've never been okay with. Not that we're okay with any of them, but this one especially, because he was such a great, great person. Truly, he was such a victim. He was not engaged in any kind of activities that would have warranted this at all. Just a great guy. So it was a tough call to go on. Quiet neighborhood, quiet family. Mr. Wheeler was a reverend. He was a devoted father and husband. Worked at Lockheed like so many other people from Paulding County. Just lived a quiet, unassuming life. I think he had a business on the side involving welding, things like that. A lot of the cases that we end up investigating, there are elements of the victim's lifestyle that we find play into their demise.
We as homicide investigators, we're trained to go in and get all the information or what we call victimology about the victim, and we want to learn about that inner circle so that we're aware of who their associates are, the habits that they kept, things of that sort, so that we can search for those leads to run down.
There was no obvious indicators that led us to believe he had any kind of, hint that this was coming.
In this case, we did learn early on through the investigators and the GBI that our victim, Regan, had been heavily involved with the prison ministry, and that he was a caring supporter for these inmates and was looking to outreach to them in a way that would give them some feeling of support. And we as investigators could not help but believe that could be a source of information or a link to this homicide.
Almost like he was too nice.
And that very well could be the link in this case.
He went to jails to try to show people that were in jail or incarcerated for a multitude of different crimes to try to save them. I've always wondered if that had anything to do with his murder. I've always had an issue with that. I did express to him at one point in time that worried me, but he saw the good in everybody. Unfortunately, because of what happened to him and this still being an unsolved case, I don't. And that always bothered me. I don't know if it's connected or not. Maybe we'll get an answer one day, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he was a good person. And that's what he attempted to do every day. And to just know that somebody's out there that took his life, and not only did nobody deserves it, but especially him. As much good as he tried to do for the community, his family, myself, the faith he always had in all of us, there was no reason. It was senseless.
I mean, there's detectives upstairs in this building that one of them is quoted saying that he would give his kidney before he retires to see this case specific close and somebody held accountable for what happened that day. And the major over CID pretty much did the same thing. Out of all the, because I go to bed at nighttime. He said, my poor wife. I go to bed at nighttime thinking about this. I wake up in the morning and shave thinking about this because of the way this community was in 2005, the type of man your father was. There's just so many unanswered questions. And I think when people watch this, what you said a second ago, somebody knows something. Even if they weren't the person that pulled the trigger, somebody knows something.
I hope after 20 years, ever who knows something realizes it's still having a dramatic impact on myself, my sister, my mother, the extended family, his grandchildren that he never got a chance to meet. We live this every single day in some shape or fashion. We all live with it. My children can look at me and know when I'm thinking about it. That's how impactful it is to people that never even met him. So it would be a dream come true, a prayer answered if we could get some type of resolution before we all get too old or before we all retire, because it's just as important to us now 20 years later as it was the day after it happened.
Nearly 20 years later, a new generation of investigators is determined to bring answers and justice. You now being assigned as a cold case analyst over 3 decades and piecing together what has happened to people that have been murdered. Being out here today and seeing the scene firsthand, what's kind of going through your mind of what happened to Mr. Wheeler that day?
Well, I started, when I started reading the file, there was I didn't have any prejudged opinions on it. And the idea is just to take a pristine look, and then the first thing I wanted to do was come out here because we wanted to get overviews and get an idea what the scene looked like. But if you look at the original prevailing thought about him pulling up and the house being burglarized, there's a couple arguments for that, but there's also an argument considering the fact that he shot 6 times, that it's somebody he knew, and whoever was here intentionally went in the house looking for something and had a plan the whole time to kill him. I'm not sure that we're dealing with a stranger-to-stranger burglar. Just in the few weeks that I've been looking into it, I think we may be looking for somebody that targeted it.
Because they say all the theories out there that his routine was very routine.
Right.
So somebody knew the timing.
What you got to remember though about that day is he changed up his routine. He went to his mother's house Normally he leaves the house here about 3:30 to go to work. He had to be at work at 4:15, 4:30. That day he went to Rome to work on his mom's house and got back here, coming from the phone records, it's about 2:30 or so. So that tells me that somebody knew that he was gone, that he was, in the approximate time he was coming back. Now, I can't totally say that it wasn't a stranger burglary, but it sure is odd that he shot multiple times, and from the position where the shooter is, which is between the victim and the street. So the shooter had flight. He had a way to get out, get away. But he ended up shooting him 6 times.
2 decades later, the pain remains, but so does the hope that someone, somewhere, will come forward. And how do you think, all these years later, and with their over 20-year career in law enforcement, what does it mean? What did it mean to you when you got the call that, not necessarily that the case is being reopened because it was never closed, but this amount of attention is being focused on and narrowed in on trying to figure out who killed your father?
I don't think you and the team know how much this means to us. Because as hard as we try to keep hope, when so many years go by, it's hard to stay positive after this amount of time. So when I got the notification that the team here was wanting to re-release this and put this much effort and this much attention on the case 20 years later, and the fact of some of the new team members that are being brought in to look at it, means the world to the family. Mm. We've all been on the phone together. We've all cried on the phone together. Mm. I have other family members I'm seeing in the next few days, along with working with the team here. And it's reignited the hope that something will come out eventually, because myself, my sister, Paula, my nephew, my children, which never met their grandfather. Ironically, we found out that my oldest son, that we were pregnant with my oldest son the same week that my father was murdered. So that was a shining light that happened at the exact same time. But none of them have ever met him. They've only seen pictures and seen videos and heard stories. To be able to not only have a conclusion from myself and my sister and mom and the extended family, but also the children that have heard stories but never met him. To have that conclusion would mean the world to us.
This case resonates with me as a father because I have 3 daughters. They're all grown now, but in this case, Regan had 2 children. They've grown up and done quite well for themselves. I'm very proud of that. But the fact remains that a son and a daughter had their father taken away from them in such a senseless way, and it just resonates with myself. My other colleagues that are here, the sheriff, he was one of the first responding deputies to the scene at that time for this particular case. So myself and the others who have investigated this case, we just feel such a loss here because we have a true victim who was killed at his own home. Mm-hmm. And we have these children who have grew up without a father, and it's just sometimes it can make the case a little more stressful because you feel that sense of ownership with the case, and you feel that duty to try to resolve who did this and why.
And then so as I progressed in my career and got more involved in the case from a public information officer standpoint, I learned more about Regan and who he was and who his family is. And here we are 20 years later, from that brand new deputy on patrol to now being the sheriff. This one still is right here.
Yes, our sheriff Henson, when he came into office at the beginning of this year, he had the desire, and it was one of his campaign foundations, to begin the cold case unit. And so we have brought in some guys who are very talented with their backgrounds, and they are working to resolve our cold cases. As far as the public goes, it could be the smallest piece of information could be a key to propelling this case into being solved. So we are partnered with the Crime Stoppers, and we would ask anyone with any information on this case, please, please, please send in a tip. If you don't want to call the sheriff's office directly, you can call Crime Stoppers and remain anonymous.
This family has gone through a lot of sorrow over the years. And I feel like somewhere out there, somebody knows something.
What?
A piece of the puzzle that they could bring forward. It's been 20 years. Maybe
What's your message to those people?
to please come forward. As I said before, this man, by all indications, was a God-fearing, upstanding citizen of Paulding County. He was a family man. He was a preacher. He worked hard. He had a family. He had a young daughter. And for this violence to visit him in his sanctuary, in his driveway, it was unheard of. And someone knows something, even if it's just a small bit of information that might be helpful. I would encourage them to come forward and share that information.
Here's the bottom line. Children lost their father, a wife lost her husband, and I know somebody's got something. Somebody knows something that would give us that key piece of evidence. I don't know what that is, but I think somebody's got something buried deep down in their heart that they knew that somebody told them. Maybe they had a different lifestyle back then. Maybe they've turned over a new leaf and they're doing great in life, and they're trying to suppress and bury all those maybe things that they did when they were young that they don't want to think about or remember. But now's the time. This is where we need those people to go back in their memory banks and remember those crucial conversations that they had back in 2005, around the middle of October, with somebody that said, man, I did this or I did that. Just that conversation, if they could just let us know, maybe that would give us that key piece of evidence, that catalyst to move us forward in this investigation. And now that we've got such a robust cold case squad, we literally went from 0 to 4 extraordinary people within this cold case unit. And I'm hopeful that that key piece of evidence will be revealed.
All of our cold cases are very important to us. In this setting, we have by the content of our investigation, we truly have an innocent victim here who lost his life at his own home for a senseless reason. And so it would be the pinnacle of my career to see this case solved.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, if we could make an arrest and secure a conviction in Regan's murder, that would be, I really truly think, aside from my kids being born and those kind of moments in life, it would be the highlight of my career, being able to give this family justice and to solve this crime. Because, like I said, Regan is truly one of the people out there that was 100,000% a victim. He wasn't involved in any kind of illicit activities. He was a great guy, a good American, a good father, a good husband. He was just the epitome of what you think a good person is. And so what it would mean to me is everything. It would be the icing on the cake for my law enforcement career, to be able to close this case with an arrest and a conviction.
And what would, as we close, what would be your message to anybody that's going to see this or watch this? What would be Matthew's message to them?
My message would be there's a family that's been hurt and still hurting after 20 years. The person that did this whether you think they're a good person or not, ever who knows something, they need to come forward and let us know, because this family, his family, deserves closure on this. And it's never too late to come forward. It's never too late to pass off information, whether it's anonymous, whether it's telling us exactly what happened. Somebody knows something. And please come forward and let this family have a little bit of closure and a little bit of rest and be able to go to bed at night without thinking about it for 20 years. That would be my message.